Well played. Will the Opwash get picked second in the second game? I don't know. Let's take a look. It's going to force Jigz under the tower. Doesn't get any stuns, but we don't need stuns. We've got damage. Hurriwind catches 2 in the current.
Andy coming back in, look for the feather step. Immediately Eagles rally. Andy will not get the kill. Baskin survives, and now they're diving for Baskin potentially here. Blink from Pinham, they're trying to force his enemy. This is a mistake because Homiefe double kill.
Opwash, rerun?
I mean, you might as well. And I think that was, here's the thing, is like SoaR now have kind of realized how good or bad Randozos are, and it was very bad because they even had kind of that early game composition that they had won, that they had beat Luminosity with. But I think, honestly, regardless of all the changes that have happened to Randozos, the biggest one for me is Polar Bear Mike, because they lost their main shot caller. They lost the guy that drafted the composition that found them their first and only win.
Exactly. I mean, Polar Bear Michael, it's no surprise, it's no secret, I should say, that PBM is... I mean, he's the cerebral player, and in all honesty, he's one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter with respect to the SPL. He brings a lot of analysis and insight, not necessarily stuff that always gets brought to the broadcast, a lot of player-specific stuff. And that mentality, obviously, if he's a good analyst, he's going to be good on your squad for all the X's and O's. So Randozos win, was it all because of PBM? No. Was he a big part of it? Absolutely, and they're missing him today.
Randozos is going to be first pick here this time, so... The sides have shifted, but once again, Khepri banned away from Jigz. Thor taken out as well, and I believe it was SoaR who took that out last time.
Yep.
And they themselves have taken away Sol, looking for their last ban, and it's going to be a wheelish. So, interesting there.
I mean, Skeeledon did make a couple of plays here. The idea is just, you know, Skeeledon has shown not too much, and he shows a little bit in that game. Just take it away from him, bring him back down to not too much, or at least try to. Randozos get the first pick around. I don't expect to see an Opwash, and it's not. It'll be Naja for Skeely, and I love it.
I expected this. This is a European strategy where they pick up the Naja, and then there's absolutely no way that SoaR has the opportunity to ban out all the mages that synergize with Naja, right? Unless they had banned away 2 mages at the start, which is not going to happen. And it's just this setup god, right? As long as you can hit your ult and set up for your mage to finish him off, that's all you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, Naja combines with Poseidon, Vulcan, Kukulkan, right? You just keep going down the list.
Go to smitegame.com, look at gods, and then look at mages, right? And like at least half of the list is good.
Right. I mean, you can combine it with just so much. Sobek will be one more pick, and Zeus as well. So SoaR right away. They've got 2 very powerful gods here.
So kind of the same playstyle or similar playstyle to the Opwash Zeus, where he has no movement ability, right?
Yeah.
But he has a lot of damage here. Zeus, I think, has a little bit more of that instant burst if he can 3-stack someone. Opwash has a lot more sustained damage throughout team fights and a better area denial.
Which is why we see more Zeus than Opwash. I completely agree with you in that they are similar characters, but Zeus, when he gets jumped on, can turn and burn. Opwash just sort of has to, like, wade in his kiddie pool of crypts and hope someone responds.
Hopefully no one dives me inside of this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Athena and Isis going to be locked in. So Randozos, we got some early game and some globals, although Isis and Naja don't actually really combine very well.
That's one of the few mages that don't make
It's like
combo.
Not the Wombo combo, but they do both have a lot of early pressure, and this is what I need to see out of Randozos, right? They had the same thing last time, the Bacchus, a wheelish Isis, but they really didn't utilize that. A lot of that to SoaR's credit in playing in those very passive defensive positions, as well as warding and being willing, I think, to counter-engage more than anything.
And also, I personally, Naja just a little bit more in the way of early game than a wheelish. A wheelish hits your stride in the mid-game, but it's really just feather step and like maybe a lucky knockup.
It's better gap closers, I would say. You have more opportunities if you're Naja to kind of force something, where a wheelish is a lot of times like, if they're not in a position for me to pick them off, what am I going to do? Getting
hit with a slow, a stun, and then a spirit ball stun, you're dead. So the Naja Isis combo is pretty rough. Bans come out. No hunters, says SoaR. They wanted to see just how deep Meerkat could go. They take away the X-Balin Q and the
X-Balin Q. No, man, it's the Xbox Live. That's the name. It's the Xbox Live. Randozos is going to ban away Bellona from Baskin, as well as Hunbats
from
Homiefe, and SoaR going to grab an Ao Kuang. So, interesting. We haven't seen Ao Kuang too much.
This lineup from SoaR damage, 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 damage. Even Sobek does real damage. I mean, this is...
Like 950 base on his ult or something crazy like that at max rank.
I mean, maybe even like a starting shell coming out from Randozos. There's a lot of...
I expect that from Athena, honestly.
There's a lot of, like, pull the trigger on SoaR. Whether it's Ram goes in the air, out Kuang starts shooting out dragons, just hit shell. There's a lot of damage on SoaR, and I'm worried for Randozos in that respect. The Apollo will be able to get out of jail sometimes.
One thing, too, is Kuang can be very good against Isis as long as he doesn't have to worry about the silence for whatever reason that is. And that's because a lot of what Isis does is she takes damage to build up that ultimate. But the thing is, if you get below 30%, you're just going to get executed. Now, if Aduro can pop that early or pop it as someone else gets executed, maybe he can heal him up over that threshold. So it's an interesting interaction on when Aduro is going to finally say, all right, ultimate, let's go.
I like the Apollo selection for Randozos a lot. We've identified that the core of Randozos is very early game. Naja, Isis, Athena will all assist in sort of running this early game and making sure it works out. And then at any point in time after level 5, level 6, level 7, Apollo can rotate and make these fights 4-on-3s. So, with everything selected, Randozos with their early game SoaR, with their just a ton of damage. We'll see how these guys go head-to-head. SoaR up 1. We'll see if Randozos can respond.
Polar Mike looks for the taunt. He's going to find it on Farizio. Nice Geb shield. Farizio forced to beats, makes it over the wall. Oh! Scary D snipes him out.
Really impressive. Scary D blind shot over the wall.
Stand against the wall, and you see Skeeledon bring minions towards the wall. Whalrus
turning up this match. First blood on Divios. Looks like they're falling apart. Came Divion, got a cataclysm. And the Stop!
Welcome back to the battleground of the gods. Whalrus doing his best Shoryuken impression with that sports skin on the solo laner, and he'll be going head-to-head against Baskin on the Osiris.
If I'm Whalrus, I'm trying to do my best Divios impression this game, right? He's one of the only players. He was the first one, I believe, in this season to bring out Robin, and Robin really wasn't considered a warrior that many thought viable in this Season 3 meta, but Divios like, nah, fam. This is, I'm Divios. What I play becomes meta. And since then, we've started to see not only both regions, but all players start to at least dabble in the Robin.
And Robin is definitely a Divios guy. It's when I see the Robin, I honestly just picture the baby rage face next to it. Like that, it just has become Divios. But what Divios is able to do, he just winds up throughout the game, mid and late game, this character just becomes an absolute nuisance. Like there's no way for you to really deal with Robin.
He's the bully.
Yeah.
Right?
Completely.
He's the bully of your school, right? Like, he's just like, I'm just going to find someone I don't like, which is probably Hurriwind on this Zeus, and he's going to be like, I'm going to slow you, I'm going to root you, and then when you try and do damage to me, I'm going to avoid that with my overhead kick. Oh, you're starting to get away? All right, Mystic Rush on top, right? And I'm probably not going to be able to kill you, right? I don't have this burst. Someone's going to come peel for you, but I'm going to force you to not do damage.
And I mean, at the same time, he's also stealing your lunch money. He's going, taking your boars away because you're going to slow him down. He's going to come and take your farm other ways. So this Robin has been a bully.
This is good. This is good. I like this. We're going to run with this. Robin is a bully. Hide everything.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll take a look at how it develops in this lane. Robin versus Osiris. How can you break this one down?
Both actually very early game focused. So a lot of it's going to come down to, I think, just who can get lane pressure. Both have a little bit of sustain in their kit. Most notably, Osiris isn't like in his kit, but it's actually because he has that AoE auto attack.
Yes.
So Death's Toll combined with him, he gets more benefit with it than other solo laners.
Him and Bologna
are the two
because of that. As far as the warrior class is concerned, mid-hard being aggressed on by Randozos, and Homie on the out Kuang.
Oh, I saw what they were doing. They were trying to bait them into both getting stacked up by the chain lightning, but it's read very quickly, and Homie actually aggressed onto forced a purification there, and if I'm Randozos, I have that timer down to a T right now. I'm like, 160 seconds. All right, boys, we're fighting him. We are fighting him before that's back up.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that. And that's again, there was some conversation, honestly, about just casual conversation about what coaches would do on a microphone in the game, right? And that's sort of what you want to look for. So without the coaches on comms, you need to find that leader in game that says, all right, beads are down, purification's down, we got to find the kill now in this short window.
I'm not exactly sure what happened, but if you look at Aduro, he's actually been poked out pretty heavily and was forced to use his potion. He was at, I think, yellow health, so doesn't have a potion now. Needs to be a little bit more careful about taking that poke. And it's always hard against Zeus, right? If one player is just half a second too late, he gets chain lightninged onto the Aegis shield,
Yep.
but it's just so hard.
I mean, you get slowed. You get it's very rough to fight against the Zeus. It's interesting because Zeus is rough to fight as and fight against. It's such like a razor's edge.
It's like your reaction time against a Zeus has to be absolutely perfect, right? If you are too late, like you can like dive in on him, but if you like hesitate on anything, he has enough damage to turn it on you.
Right.
And if he's aggressing and you hesitate too late and you don't split up and you get chain lightning 3-stacked, fight's over, you're done.
Baskin has been half HP or below this entire time, and this is the first time he's really been playing defensively. He was at 30% HP with Whalrus at 100 on the enemy tower.
Whalrus is a bully, man. No, Robin is a bully, and this is what he does. He just bullies you into your tower, and then he bullies mages once he starts rotating. And it looks like Whalrus, he wants a kill. Like,
Yeah,
he
he's
thinks he
going
can
for
find
it.
this here.
Don't forget, Walrus does
First
have
blood.
the kick to avoid the last hit of the tower. He'll
Get
just ult out of the
soloed.
way. Get soloed by Walrus. Welcome to the SPL. First blood for Randozos. Walrus continues looking absolutely fantastic. Not just the last time we saw him before the bye week, but here getting the solo kill. No one can take that away from you.
Baskin has had his ult as well, so I'm assuming he didn't think that amount of damage kind of would have come through.
It
Oh,
was
look at this.
deceptive.
Oh, look at this. Skeeledon behind the tower. Hurriwind has no idea. Oh, he has some idea.
he's got
He
an
has a
idea
lot
of
of idea.
something. Red buff invaded by Randozos this time around. Again, the early game strategy coming out from the Clowns looking like it's working in the right direction, but here comes SoaR. Rotation from behind the mid lane. Naja ring almost takes out Zeus. And up in the sky, Baskin, meanwhile, solos Whalrus on the solo lane, and down comes the Naja with Metyankey. Metyankey in some trouble, surrounded. There's the Zeus ultimate. One goes down with Skeeledon. Hurriwind able to pick off Skeely, but very low is Hurry, and there's the turnaround. Adura with one, Homie with one. 3 go down on the left, 2 go down on the right. SoaR wind up on top of that one, but Randozos get the buff.
The 3, however, was Baskin actually soloing out Whalrus. It was a 2
Yes.
for 2. That fight should have been much cleaner for Randozos. There was multiple opportunities, I think, for them to kind of force the fight, but they waited a little bit too long. They also, the Ice Assault was literally used to heal up like 10% of health from everyone. They just seemed scared, right? They wanted to get the buff and get out instead of forcing an engagement where SoaR actually split away from them, right? So there's 2 things, right? If you're the engagers and you flank someone, that's great, but SoaR weren't the engagers there, right? Randozos could have all just piled onto one side of that and done a lot of damage, but once again, their hesitation, I think, is what's causing them to lose a lot of these fights that I think they should win much more clearly.
So just confidence. Confidence is what we want to see. So right here, it's 5 minutes on the clock. Teams have started to get a little bit more relaxed, and right now, you shouldn't be. Top left, you can see you get a code. You go to promo.smygame.com or even in game, and that will go ahead and get you an Odyssey chest.
So we got 5 minutes on that one, guys. If you want to redeem it, hashtag AlliedStrong in chat if you're here as well. 3-3, read the kills right now, though. Randozos currently leading by about 500 gold, and that was Whalrus able to successfully find a solo kill, first blood on a Baskin. However, Baskin immediately responded with a kill of his own and has reduced that massive gold lead Ravana had.
I love that. As soon as Baskin comes into the lane, because there's a distinct difference between just farming and looking for the kill. Baskin came into the lane actively looking for the kill.
Speaking of actively looking for a kill, Skeeledon here finds his way over to the solo lane, and it looks like he's just going to actually focus on clearing out the wave.
Yeah.
Doesn't think the opportunity's there to find a gank, and Baskin going to sidestep that artillery sash and walk away safely.
Yeah, with the full passive up as a Naja, you're not going to really... You're just going to tickle the Osiris. I mean, he's got 16% damage reduction with all translucent. Not going to really do much. So Jungler comes over to sort of just get rid of some pressure over there in the solo lane.
And Skeeledon back to farming those bat camps very quickly. And this Naja Isis, which we expected to really control the early game, hasn't really done so. We've seen a single red buff invade, but that kind of got turned on itself.
A little bit. I did like the red buff invade. I think that was the right move for Randozos to make. And right now, this is the right move for Randozos to make. Early on, looking for a kill. Duro gets jumped on, though, and Homiefe able to turn it around.
And once again, Baskin, this is just his intelligence. The second, if he knows the teleport from Whalrus is down, he's going to make his way, and that's what he did. He actually forced Whalrus back, and then he just walked over to mid lane. Maybe we can force something, and that's actually exactly what SoaR did. He's like, I know Whalrus is going to teleport back into lane. Let's force an engagement in the mid lane. And honestly, that looked free for Aduro to kind of walk out of, but then comes the Osiris, and that is just a mental outplay from Baskin, and it's happened 2 games in a row. Whalrus needs to be much more aware of his teleport timing versus Baskin's, and make sure that if it's not his team, that he wards up any potential rotation from the Osiris.
And that's just the experience level, right? I mean, Whalrus has played in the SPL before, but honestly, this is a different Whalrus. I think this is Whalrus.
He is much better than I saw last season.
He's much better, and he has the mechanics and the ability to play there. But that rotation, everything you just broke down from Baskin, is experience in the SPL. Dash forward from Leftsyndrome, looking for a taunt, doesn't find much, but everybody finds Leftsyndrome. Couple more hits and take it to the sky. Homiefe takes out the Guardian.
Skeeledon had one in the air as well. Hurriwind, no mana. Aduro, though, off the mark on the spear ball. Meerkat comes crashing down, looking for the last auto. Can he find it? Body blocks from Met, and he gets knocked away as well. Flung back. One more hit. And it's going to be Homie in the backside, taking out Aduro as well. Meerkat, he's running. I don't see him getting away from this. And it's going to be Skeeledon barely escaping as well. Met, I suspect, or excuse me, Meir, probably just going to die to the tower, however. And assist going to Met. And SoaR find 3 more kills quickly.
Invade onto the buffs. Baskin able to pick up the opponent's blue. Nothing for Ravana. He has to fall. He has to ultimate underneath the tower. So Whalrus, I mean, we've spoken high praise about him, and I stick to that. But Baskin is a very strong player, and his ability to, like you said, mentally out-rotate and things like that, or just straight brawn, just beat him up, is definitely there.
And here's the thing, right? A lot of the Whalrus talk was, we saw, right? We're like, all right, Whalrus looks good, but it was only on a single set, right? That we saw him perform at a high level. Omega even gave this guy the praise, gave Whalrus the praise of saying, you know, he's probably a top 4 soul laner in North America. His laning phase is nearly perfect. It's everything else that he needs to work on, and it's been the everything else that Baskin has outplayed him on.
Yeah, and that's what we saw exactly, the rotation and stuff. And I expect that to improve as the time in the SPL. Like, that's the difference. We always sit up here and we talk about the difference between not just your ranked games, but Challenger Cup and SPL. And it's the meta that's created, not necessarily like 2-1-2 meta or that much, but the much bigger picture, the how do people play in the SPL, where do you rotate, etc., understanding the teleport, etc.
And it is different in the SPL. A lot of times teams are pretty, a lot more passive. But it looks like Randozos not trying to be passive here. Skeeledon off the mark on the stun. Beautiful timing coming out from Homiefe. 180 water illusion the second he noticed Skeeledon there.
I mean, that one you can't even be mad if you're Skeeledon about that one. That's just
that was just beautiful timing from Homie.
Yeah,
man.
You tip your cap to that one.
I didn't even notice him turn around. I was like, Homiefe's in trouble. There comes the set. Wait, he went into the tower. I thought he like blinked forward, and it happened again.
2 for Tuesday. This time around, the taunt will come out, though. Knock up onto Skeeledon. He'll turn around and largely be fine. The rotation from the Hunter, enough to deal some damage, but Aduro quickly decides that's not what he and his team want to look at.
These Spirit Balls from Aduro have not been connecting either game. And I think if he, starts to find some, especially on Hurriwind, maybe they can get some kills rolling. But right now, it's SoaR. They have about 1,000 gold lead, and especially considering Whalrus got a first blood as well, solo.
Back tier 1 tower. There's Baskin, go ahead and proxy farming. And he'll go ahead and start to look at the invade, but not going to find it as Whalrus is able to just walk right on by. Down a level. And look at this, Baskin with the audacity to fight behind the enemy's tier 1 tower by himself, walking into it, just trying to walk down Whalrus. Whalrus able to turn around and deal some damage thanks to the tower.
Baskin's like, proxy waves? Nah, I'm going to proxy a kill. Like, a rotation is coming in from Skeeledon, though. Baskin could be in a little bit of trouble. Windfire Wheels is available, and you can even see Whalrus Mystic rushing forward. However, Skeeledon wasn't in position. I think Baskin knew he was there, though. You could see the wards on that bottom side, so Baskin knows something's fishy right now.
Yeah, playing it very safe. Playing it very safe is Baskin.
Oh, red buff invade.
And it's already gone. Aduro and Leftsyndrome get there a little bit too late. And honestly, like, Leftsyndrome, Whalrus, regardless of their individual talent, right? We've spoken highly about Whalrus, and honestly, Leftsyndrome, we need to see a little bit more. Randozos' issue this season is not their individual skill. It's almost not right to call them bad players. It's just that having rotating people coming in and in. How do you fix problems when you have somebody completely different coming in every single week?
And I mean,
that's the rough stuff.
I mean, even once again, right? Skeeledon was on this team. He got picked up by Denial. Then he got kicked off Denial, so he came back. Aduro and Meerkat have been the only constants on this team. Everyone else has been rotating in and out, and I mean, who knows if they'll stick with this lineup, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I think Leftsyndrome has played a quiet game. I think that's the best way to describe it. I've seen some nice things from him. No really major mess-ups. The only mess-up you could maybe call was when he forced a fight on those left side Harpies, dashing forward and got caught back. But that was also the rest of the team didn't follow up. Maybe they weren't in position.
Those are the issues I want my support to have. I would rather my support be overzealous and get in trouble than never initiate a fight. Just as Jeff Hindler, right? Like, that's what I'd rather see. I would rather have a support be overzealous than timid.
And that's one of the reasons, too. The timing is so good.
Homiefe has avoided every single part of CC that's looking for this out Kuang in the first 12, 40 minutes.
I mean, Leftsyndrome didn't even cast Confound before Homiefe was gone, right? I'm pretty sure the dash didn't even connect there. But I mean, that's one of the reasons that Zender got replaced, was that he was so focused on farming, really, more than, you know, forcing some initiations. Since they brought in Frezzy, who's very good at forcing initiations over on Hungry for More.
I mean, that's... Yeah, Frezzy made a whole career out of being aggressive, so we'll see how he develops over there in Europe. Right here, Meerkat, it's a 2-on-1. The Sanctuary popped to avoid some of the Ram snipe damage, but Metyankey surrounded. He'll roll forward, gets hit by So Beautiful, still being followed up by Skeeledon with the basics, gets the Sash and taken to the sky. That is one dead Hunter. But who's waiting on the bottom? It's everyone else in a SoaR jersey. That is one dead Naja. Hurriwind with credit on that one. That's his second kill of the game.
Baskin surging forward, looking for a slow. Going to be off the mark there. Whalrus kicks away, and now the boards are going to be stolen by a Hurriwind, and the rest of SoaR. They're going to rotate straight to the Gold Fury. No hesitation. They do have the Zeus ult here as well.
I mean, that's the biggest thing about that kill.
No, they want to fight. They're baiting. Look at Hurriwind's positioning.
Waiting for it.
No. So Farm Boys, they're playing it safe.
I would like to see SoaR go for the Gold Fury here, but they elect for the safer play, which I respect. Right towards mid to get the farm.
There is the Ice Assault from Enduro, so I think even with the Zeus ult, they're a little bit worried about the potential steal coming out from him, right? Even if he can get it on the ground, that's all he needs to do.
That's a situation where you pull the Gold Fury and then you pull off of it and just murder everyone that shows up. But these teams are even right now, even with a slight man advantage. I mean, Homiefe needs to find that execute to really be. He's not late game out Kuang, whereas, you know, Aduro and Meerkat are going to be able to make those fights.
I mean, he's starting to get there. No Gold Fury just yet. He's 4-0-1 right now. Do more max stacks. Has Shoes the Magi online, so a lot of penetration, and he's working on that Polynomicon. You can see in hand he had, we just switched off of him, I think, close to having it done, however.
You know, I completely disagree with that. The 50 stacks on Doomorb, forget what I said about Al Kuang not being there. It's a lot of power for the Dragon King.
And he's got about a 600 gold lead over Skeeledon right now, who hasn't been able to get anything going. Blink is online for both of these players, however, so they could have the surprise initiations. And it's going to be attention over to Whalrus, actually.
Homiefe coming in here on the solo lane, jump over the wall. Following is going to be Osiris. There's the Athena ultimate, and that sends everybody packing.
The rest of SoaR is rotating in, however, and Leftsyndrome going to find a two-man taunt onto Homie. More importantly, he's going to jump away. Whalrus doesn't know where he is. He's behind him, actually, here. And now it's Skeeledon flung out of position as well. The fight's going on, and it looks like Randozos are trying to disengage.
Meerkat shows up, and Metyankey nowhere to be seen. Meerkat picks up Homiefe on the backside. Whalrus, concerned about his own life, has to be forced out. Randozos get a kill for nothing. That's a great play coming out from the Clowns.
And Homiefe going a little bit too deep there on that 4 and 1 out Kuang. He will be able to finish off his Polynomicon, though. He just really wanted to fight Whalrus, but I think Whalrus would have won that either way.
I like how both solo laners built Nimi and Lion. Not for anyone but each other. There was so much fighting going on in the solo lane. Like, 80 physical protection is a fantastic item in its own right, and this is frequently bought, but they're basic attack each other.
I mean, they're basic attack gods, right?
Yeah, they're just looking for the kills in that solo lane, honestly. That to me just says, hey, look, we want to keep fighting. You down?
And if you missed the last Odyssey code here, top left, hashtag AlliedStrong, we got another one for you. You can redeem that at promo.smitegame.com or in-game. Both are viable options. That's going to be another 4 minutes and 40 seconds available for you.
Yeah, it's just funny, you know, the amount of times I hear, oh, my Smite wasn't open. You can just do it at promo. So that works out. Clowns grouped up here with their core. Still trailing by about 1,000 gold. SoaR has been good this game, but not as good as number one. Or I should say Randozos have picked it up from game number 1 and game 2. Jigz off the mark with the pluck, but knocks up 2 with tail whip.
Both hunters have rotated as well, and Skeeledon going to throw the ring through, poking and slowing a lot of players. Leftsyndrome, he wants to fight, though, based on his positioning here.
Yeah.
It's going to be mid-camp secured by him, but Homiefe blinks forward. He's looking for one. There's the execute, but Skeeledon is able to get away. The snipes, one more needs to connect, but it's not enough, and Skeeledon going to be able to walk out just barely.
Homiefe right there. Leftsyndrome is going to take a spill, but Homiefe right there just played so well. Meerkat picks up the kill onto Homiefe. Leftsyndrome winds up with fantastic peel. He slows Homiefe with the dash and then looks for the taunt. Homie hits Purification before Confound comes out to ensure that he doesn't waste a single second turning around, and that's why the jungler is able to get that kill.
Oh, very deep is Metyankey, Hurriwind, and Jigz here to support him. Met wants to fight really bad. Red buff picked up by Meerkat here, but SoaR pressed the eject button. They're going to back out. They don't steal the red. They were only able to pick up Leftsyndrome, and that's going to be a 1-for-1 once again.
Meerkat has had a fantastic game today, Kevin.
He's been solid. Whalrus here, though, trying to pick up Baskin. Taunt, maybe here. Does connect, but I think he's just a little bit too tanky. You can see full passive activated after he ulted away, and now Leftsyndrome. Gonna be okay.
Yeah, that was I liked the call coming from Randozos, but with how low Whalrus is, as soon as that character walked into the threshold of the tower, there was no way that Whalrus could go ahead and dive that.
And meditation from Baskin as well,
yep.
Healing him up a little bit. And Meerkat, level 17, 2-2-2, has been a shining light, maybe, I guess you could call it, for Randozos.
He's had a fantastic game here. Baskin gets surrounded and collapsed on Whalrus. Certainly a different outcome that time around with Leftsyndrome and Whalrus. But Meerkat has been taking the fights head on, and it looks like SoaR, whether or not they're just not expecting Meerkat to be that aggressive or expecting him to be that successful with his aggression, Meerkat is not shying away from these fights, and it's his willingness to take the fights that is making his impact in the game important.
I mean, he's Apollo, right? So, like, both his kills, he just ults into a player that's very low, distracted on their own one-on-one.
Right, yeah.
And can always secure it, and then he turns his attention, does a little bit of damage, and dies. I think that's happened both times. But he's able to find kills that maybe the team doesn't come up with anyway. And, you know, we're talking about this as it's, like, very SoaR-sided, but the gold is dead even right now, and Randozos are only down a single kill, which is absolutely nothing.
And I mean, Randozos, they were able to pick up that, we just watched that tier 1 tower over in the solo lane after the kill on Baskin. That allows Whalrus to go pick up that tower, and it largely evens things up. Teams are separated by 40 gold. And honestly, Randozos have 133 more gold.
It's nothing.
It's a tie game. It's just, you know, kind of funny.
The lead right now is Randozos, 145 gold.
Wave to
wave. Tell me other ways.
Wave to wave.
Gold Fury started by SoaR here. Leftsyndrome going to try and steal.
There it is!
No, he got it! He got it with the dash! Leftsyndrome comes up with a beautiful steal, and now Randozos, they're just going to walk away with a real lead.
Nope. That's
what?
That's got to hurt SoaR. I mean, I don't even think Leftsyndrome got the shield wall off. I think the dash.
And like maybe
the dash reach, the dash basic attack.
I thought someone had intercepted it at first, and I was like, oh, it's SoaR. That's crazy.
I respect this. Sure, Baskin is DC'd. We get a pause. I mean, I would have liked this pause even if Baskin wasn't DC'd.
All right, boys.
All right, calm down. Calm down. Don't worry about it. But jokes aside, I mean, that takes the wind out of your sails as SoaR, and you just have to forget about it and understand that you're in a good position.
If something gets stolen by, like, Bacchus, like, jumping it, if some mage or, like, the suns from Hou-Yi come raining down, you're like, man, that sucks. Oh, well. If Rin steals it with So Beautiful, you're like, that's rough, but oh, well. But an Athena dash that you can block, and if it wasn't that, it was reach, that's like...
You know, don't forget, Ren's also stole one with Impale. They got Ren's there. They just got straight up.
That's not even that's not even close. You can at least stay at range. You can actually block Athena's dash. And either no one did it or was reach. I'm not sure which it was, but either way.
No, I mean, and the decision that Gold
rage.
Fury that Gold Fury coming out from SoaR was just that was a sneak. That was a straight blitz attempt. They were like, look, nobody knows. Nobody knows. We're gonna go for it. And Leftsyndrome figured it out and just with a pencil and a pad went right for it.
Game right now, though, still Randozos' favor. Surprisingly, they have a little bit of a gold lead. XP was, I believe, very similar as well the last time we looked at it. And here actually comes a fight as Aduro throws some wing gusts over the wall.
Not too much damage. It's all directed at the two tanks. Whalrus in some trouble now. Half HP. Leftsyndrome shows up to help out. Whalrus getting aggressive, slowed down by SoaR, but it's not a big deal. A lot of damage coming out of the backside, and Baskin wants to make it happen. So does Whalrus. Whalrus starts to detract. Over on the right-hand side, takes Hurriwind with him.
And a 1v1 Hunter fight on the side there actually going on here. And Homiefe does finally pick off Whalrus in a very awkward fight. If anything, everyone switching targets all the time, but Skeeledon caught out by himself here. Back coming out from Aduro, but he was lazy backing in his own jungle with 3 players around him. One more hit from Homiefe finds that, and SoaR find themselves with 10 total kills.
That's rough. That is supposed to happen to Aduro. That's not supposed to happen to Whalrus, right? You lose the fight. You back with everybody local, you're gonna die there. That is
I mean, he had a tier 2 tower. He just didn't want to walk around that wall. He's like, maybe I can get out in time.
And now he doesn't have a tier 2 tower. SoaR is able to take their kill in the mid lane and transition it into 1,500 gold. So the lead that Randozos had by stealing away the Gold Fury completely neutralized by a couple of kills in a structure. SoaR take their lead right on back.
And a lot of that last fight was just Baskin being a lot more efficient than Whalrus, right? Whalrus gets plucked back into the back line of SoaR, but you saw their health pools, right? They barely got tickled. Meanwhile, Baskin finds a triple root coming out from his ultimate and then doing a significant amount of damage, slowing players, and more importantly, splitting Randozos up, and then SoaR just collapsed on each individual one at a time.
I mean, Hurriwind has just been such a big part of this. I liked how you saw Whalrus go around the side, and that sent everybody chasing after the Ravana. And Hurriwind went for it, and then turned around and went back to the team fight, understanding that that's really, all right, you know what, chasing the solo laner around the mulberry bush probably isn't the best usage of my abilities, so I'm going to go right to the team fight, toss out a bunch of lightning, and just do lightning things, and everybody dies.
Lightning, boys.
Yeah, man.
You got chain lightning, you got detonate, you got the lightning storm, you know, it's all out there.
I mean, me and Totally were going over, ability names, and I'm just like, well, Zeus got the bounce lightning, the hit lightning, the big lightning, and the shield lightning. It's all just lightning when it comes to Zeus.
Athena's got the Gold Fury steel, the giant CC, and the why is she in my lane right now from across the map.
You know what's interesting? Metyankey to the sky.
What the?
Immediate sanctuary coming out from Meerkat. Homiefe trying to. That was a nice combination. Metyankey goes to the sky to force into the execution range, but Leftsyndrome shows up and is unable to really
I
find
like
the kill
that.
as
That ward
support.
got destroyed as well, and actually the rotation coming in from the rest of the Randozos. 1 kill's picked up. They pop sprint. Leftsyndrome surging forward. He wants the taunt. Randozos, they might be able to find something here. Whalrus jumps forward. There comes the stun, and one's taken to the sky.
And he'll land, but won't be for long. Very low HP, and Skeeledon able to find the last basic. Hurriwind drops the ultimate. That's 1 for the Zeus, but Hurriwind in some trouble. No turn and burn this time. Baskin finds Aduro off screen, but on screen, we saw Hurriwind take a spill.
2 for 3 so far, Randozos. There comes the taunt. Leftsyndrome very low, still fighting this. Meerkat in a little bit of trouble. There's the Mez onto 2, but Baskin Robbins finds the last hit there, and now Whalrus can't do anything. It's going to be a 3 for 3 overall. No one finds themselves with the lead after wall.
Randozos are able to find everybody that they're supposed to be able to kill.
Homie, Hurriwind, Meerkat, Metyankey, all the squishies.
And then Baskin and Jigz show up and they say, hey, we have approximately 10,000 HP between the two of us. Do something about it. And Randozos try to do something about it. And guess what they can't do, Kevin?
Something about it.
They just can't.
And I mean, Leftsyndrome and Whalrus, right? The solo laner and support. It was solo lane and solo lane, or excuse me, solo lane and support versus solo lane and support. They're like, well, no one's really dying here, guys. Let's go home. It was fun. Our carries didn't survive long enough.
Jigz has been very successful with this offensive Sobek. What's that?
Item picked up by Leftsyndrome there.
Okay. Picking up the Mail of Renewal.
I haven't seen that in a while.
So, I mean, Mail of Renewal, it's still a decent item. I think it's a character-specific item. Athena's probably not the character that I would jump to go ahead and pick it. It's very interesting. I like the choice, or I like the experimentation.
I mean, they really think they're going to be securing some kills, and honestly, so far it's been a competitive game when it comes to kills, right? 10-13, and maybe that extra health and mana will help him.
It's
that regenning health and mana, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for these extended team fights where Leftsyndrome has been in them from the top down, and then as it goes on, it's really just the two left with Jigz and Baskin. So with the kills that are able to happen during the team fight, Leftsyndrome is hoping that when it just comes down to Jigz and Baskin at the end, that instead of being 30% HP for that fight, he'll be a lot higher with the regen.
Both supports ulted in that last little engagement. SoaR trying to force Gold Fury once again.
Look at the crit.
But Meerkat throwing in some autos there, and here comes the taunt from Leftsyndrome. He's looking, but he can't find a key target he wants. There it is on 2, and that solo laner support, not so healthy right now. They are able to chase out a couple members of Randozos, though.
Skeeledon finds an ult on the backside. Beautiful ability to thread the needle, but Hurriwind turns it right around. Metyankey steals the kill away from him. Metyankey steals another kill, and there's one more on the opposite side as Baskin winds up picking up one before he's forced out. Keep an eye on that teleport, though. It's up in 4 seconds. We might just see another Osiris in this fight.
Whalrus and Leftsyndrome somehow managed to get out there, but what looked like a good initiation from Randozos quickly gets turned on. You see right on top of that circle protection, the lightning storm comes out, and then Randozos say, we're done. They all split into different directions while SoaR holds strong. Skeeledon, like you said, able to find Hurriwind in the backline, but he was all alone. No one could get in position to help him, right? It wasn't anything on them. They were forced out.
Just wasn't enough, honestly, just wasn't enough damage from Skeeledon, and that's not on Skeeledon, it's just, oh well. Hurriwind was a little bit too much. Can we take a look at the builds, please, as we see 4,000 gold for SoaR, and yeah, look at the build coming out from the Zeus. It's a little bit of physical protection goes a long way. Hurriwind had about 10% HP. Without that helmet, maybe he's dead.
I mean, you're almost never 100-0ing anyone as Nanja. You need that follow-up, or for the player to be very poked out, and he just simply, the team wasn't in the position to follow up.
Right.
That's all it comes down to. And now SoaR, with a significant lead, the first one they've really held this game. We'll have to see if they continue to try and force some things, able to walk out of there without losing a single member in that engagement as well.
Yeah, it's come down to it where Randozos, they had their early-ish game composition. The Skeeledon, the Aduro, and even the Meerkat, right?
The double globals from the duo.
Exactly, right? Yeah, and it worked when it worked, but as we approach our half-hour mark, I mean, now things are certainly tilting in the favor of, well, they have a Zeus.
I mean, regardless of their early game, they still weren't the ones to ever force anything, really. Like, it was SoaR forcing the engagements, and they were only able to come out even or, like, just a little bit behind, right? We saw Leftsyndrome on a couple instances, but nothing came from it.
There was a few skirmishes here and there, but I think you're right. Largely, it was SoaR. To be honest, though, I want to be straight up. I really like Leftsyndrome this game. Not just the initiation.
The thing about him is, like, he's playing solid. It's just the team as a whole is just kind of like not there for him to like plug and play and be successful in.
Yeah, and that's for a support. Anytime you replace a member of this core, whether it's jungle support or mid lane, I think that's one of the harder positions to go ahead and replace.
Solo's probably the easiest next to Hunter.
Solo lane, for the most part, is plug and play. You know, if your Cyclone Spin maybe a little bit different, you have a different style, but for the most part, all right, guys, I'm going to select a tanky warrior, and I'm going to farm a bunch, and I'm going to buy teleport. Deal? Deal.
And the thing about solo laners too is like they always get like the first 10 minutes of practice without anything changing, right? Every once in a while someone will gank your lane in ranked or like scrims, but it doesn't happen often.
Right, yeah. I mean, so making that shift over as a support there's a little bit more in the conversation. Fire Giant started. It's going to be leashed.
And now here it's got to be Randozos trying to get into this one. Here. It's going to be, it looks like SoaR just kind of baiting this. They definitely want to fight, and they've plucked someone out of position. I can't tell who it is just off screen. It's actually 2 members, and there comes the lightning on the top. Nowhere for Meerkat to go, and Randozos, they're just trying to get out.
Look at that play coming out from Zeus right there. Drops the ultimate, sure for the kill. Whalrus in some trouble, surrounded. Stun will prevent his death for just a moment. And SoaR double taunt coming out of left. No follow-up.
That's just miscommunication coming out from Randozos again. Obviously, 2 players got isolated and 1 got picked. But the thing is, you actually saw Whalrus start to push forward with Leftsyndrome. over on that right-hand side while Skeeledon was getting chased away. And instead of Skeeledon just 180ing and ulting someone up into the air and maybe Randozos could force something, he ults away.
Right.
Whalrus goes in as well, gets a little bit poked out here. And now Skeeledon very deep.
There's the follow. Not so much. SoaR now just giving chase. Baskin gets stunned, but looks like at least one stun. Aduro hits the purification. He'll be able to run away. Under the tower, doesn't really mind. Solo laner going for it, and there's the kill. Baskin on top of Aduro. Leftsyndrome gets tossed in. Hurriwind gets the kill on that one. That is the 5th kill for the mid laner.
Whalrus, I mean, nothing he can do. Baskin's just basically taunting him. Standing there staring at him. Throws out some abilities, and it's going to be Whalrus, Meerkat, and Skeeledon who are going to have to defend this Fire Giant. Ultimate is on land for a Meerkat if he can or wants to crash down.
Now look how
and I think Randozos, like I don't know if they really necessarily need to force anything right here.
Look how fast that Fire Giant just gets burned down. Meerkat does show up, and, well, Meerkat gets shut down. And that's Whalrus just going, told you so.
I really wish it was the rip emote. I really wish that was the rip emote. That would have been better.
I mean, Randozos, you gotta have fun here, right? Because right at this point, they're able to, because this is exactly what I asked for the last time we saw Randozos play when they got the win against LG. Identify your team identity. It's early game. Right? These guys are better at early games, so they picked the early game composition. It worked last time. It didn't work this time, but they understand. All right, man, we're in trouble. I can't wait to go. Right now, these players are probably more excited about watching the VOD than finishing the game.
I mean, SoaR right now, they have about a 6K lead. The game's not over, though.
Not at all.
We're 32 minutes in, and Randozos are just starting to close the gap onto 20, right? SoaR aren't really getting much stronger. They have some items to last purchase here, but if Randozos can hold once, like all they need to do is hold once, right? And the game's going to become very close to even for them.
With that Gold Fury, SoaR puts themselves even further in the lead, about 8,000 to their name, 8,200 to be a little bit more specific. Left side, SoaR again going to push a tower. That'll give them another 500 gold, thanks to Metyankey.
And Metyankey's full build. Meerkat still needs to finish off his Rage Blade. I believe that's going to be the last item for him. And then, I mean, one more item coming out of Leftsyndrome. He's support anyway. It's kind of Aduro who's really far behind. You can even see in his golds, he's actually very, like, 1,500 is that behind his support player.
Well, I mean, mid lane, Hurriwind has been phenomenal this game. Not just this game, the set. I mean, his ability to shut people down, his ability to zone people out. I started talking about it before Whalrus got in trouble. That ultimate did a lot more than just find a kill. It separated the entire team. That's really what Hurriwind has been about this entire set.
And he's 5-2-10 right now, but a part of 75% of SoaR's kills. And it's just these zoning ultimates coming out from him. They're so good. And
another tower
final
goes,
tower, actually.
Yep, SoaR find their last one. The right side was soloed by Baskin.
Randozos have to hold here. They can't lose all 3 Phoenixes. If they can hold, they have a chance, but it's going to be very hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is a rough spot. SoaR has about 10,000, 12,000 gold in their favor, plus a Fire Giant buff. Metyankey quickly turns around, and there's the crits, and there's the hits. Homiefe gets the kill on a Leftsyndrome. Ultimate still online for the Kuang. Basics going into the Phoenix, and this one will be about half HP.
You can see Randozos are basically done. I mean, they just conceded it completely.
Yeah.
They're going to maybe try and defend this tier 2 here. Whalrus going to push forward by himself, gets flung back into the rest of the team once again, and he's going to overhead kick, trying to avoid some damage. Detonate isn't going to be enough. It's going to be Baskin chasing him down either way. Met ticks to the sky here. Going to look to get Meerkat before he can make it to the fountain, but it's going to be Homiefe to finish him off.
As soon as he lands, Skeeledon picks up the Hunter, brings him down to the ground. There's Hurriwind waiting. Metyankey finds the hit. Titan gonna go ahead and be aggressed on. And ladies and gentlemen, Aduro is a great player, but he can't play defense all by himself or while dead. Titan goes the way of SoaR, and they find 2 wins above the Clowns.
Game 2 looking much better for Randozos as well, and they have Leftsyndrome coming in. He played a quiet game, but a pretty respectable game, so maybe there's hope there. He didn't feed, right? He didn't get picked off.
No, exactly. If I'm Randozos, I'm looking at this week specifically as just another week to sort of get better. We have yet another new player. Let's learn how to play together. This time it's a core member. We'll see how it develops.
SoaR looking very good together, though. And honestly, a lot of that, for me, was Hurriwind in both games.
Sure.
Game 1, more specifically, on the All-Pwashagat that we haven't seen in the SPL in forever, right? I think the only person I've ever really seen play this was Duro on Legion of Carrots in the summer split. I don't know if it's ever been played outside of that, but I do remember he would play it with DJ Pernicus a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Apwaj, not only did he do well, he got the first kill in match 1. This is the first blood from the last game. And look at that. The purification was very, very important right there. That allows him to continue on walking. And the dot, long range, that is what winds up getting Hurriwind the first blood. Now, a little bit more in depth on this play.
And this is just, I think this is the instance where he actually just completely zones off the team fight. This was Randozos initiating, and they actually pulled Jigz out of position here, and it really looks like Randozos want to force something, but just he ults, zones away the team. He actually surges forward. Maybe he can find someone, but at the very least, he scares players off.
Yeah, this is a fight that Randozos win. This is a fight that Randozos win. The blink to avoid the knockup, sure, but the stun comes out, and look at this. Just where there's the Crips.
Yeah, and he's just going to throw it here pretty soon.
There's the Crips.
And just there's nowhere for Skeeledon to go. And this leads into the Gold Fury, the first Gold Fury in Game 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's the turnaround. It is just that placement of the Crips able to find that. And using that zoning ability is not just what he was able to do with the Apwash, but also, I mean, even on the Zeus in game number 2, worked out real well.
Hurriwind, very solid player for this squad here. And I believe this is a setup for a kill when Skeeledon just comes crashing down, and he just cleans up beautifully. The positioning is, he doesn't put himself in a spot where a Duro can kind of catch him off. He just pushes forward, gets in range of his abilities, and then backs off.
Yeah, it's the positioning. I mean, on this character specifically, Apwash and Zeus are the same in that you have to absolutely nail your positioning. So Hurriwind able to find that, and even from here, staying behind the wall, just finding people to toss things at, and wind up setting up.
You like that too? The little sidestep for the spirit ball? He's like, nah. And he allows Homiefe to finish that one off. And just always behind the rest of his team at all points. And never putting himself out of position.
Especially with the Kuang on the squad. You do enough damage, you put them into the threshold. You don't even have to 100 to 0 somebody. You have to 100 to, what is it, 25%? So you have to bring them low enough that the execute can come out. Sometimes you don't even need the execute. But Hurriwind, definitely one of the top players in this matchup today.
Let's quickly look at the standings off of that one, and it should be Enemy. Now have a contender with them, and it's going to be SoaR. And this is interesting, too, because these teams are 1-1 with each other, so this is a true tie for first place, and I'm pretty sure they play each other later this week as well.
Yes, we'll take a look at the rest of the schedule here. Thursday, Team Eager and Denial later on today. That's immediately after this. And then Luminosity versus Team Allegiance will round out the day for Thursday. So you definitely want to make sure to stay tuned. As far as the promo code, same thing will keep on continuing, so stay tuned. You never know when they're going to pop up. Promo.smikegame.com, and of course, right in game as well. That does it for us right here. We're going to move on to the next game very soon.